Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Kayfabe Central podcast and another episode of the headlines of the week in pro wrestling. Um, I think I messed up that series name again, but you guys get the gist of it. Where we go over everything that is going on in pro wrestling today. We also go over a weekly TV recap and all that stuff. And I'm your host, Josh. As always, joining me is Ruan Wrestling.
Hey guys.
Um, and yeah, like I mentioned, we're gonna go over everything that's been going on. We're gonna go over some TV stuff. Um, I'm gonna get Rue's like quick thoughts on Forbidden Door since we didn't get to do that as well sometime during this podcast. We're gonna be talking about the whole Raja Jackson thing because that's the main story and everything wrestling this week. So we're gonna be getting into that. Um, so yeah, before we get into that though, make sure you guys are subscribed to the channel, hit the notification bell so you're up to date with all the videos. If you're over on Spotify, make sure you hit the follow button and leave a comment over there as well. Make sure to go check out the Ko-Fi page. It's $5 minimum to subscribe to the exclusive wrestling content tier. I am recording an interview tonight, and the interview will be out on the Ko-Fi page first before it's on YouTube. So if that is something that interests you, then go ahead and check that out. Um, yeah, go check out the Kayfabe Central website, all that good stuff. Um, and yeah, a whole lot of other stuff in the works right now that you guys will see eventually. With all that out of the way, the quick self promo out of the way, let's jump straight into these headlines. Not a whole lot to get into, but a lot of these are like big talking points that'll probably, take up a lot of time anyway, including the first story, which is Rampage Jackson's son, Raja Jackson, um, had a incident with it was Syko Stu, I believe it was, right? Um, where this took place at Knokx Pro, which is Rikishi school. And so the incident was, I guess, Raja Jackson, he wanted to do a spot with wrestling or whatever. Someone told him he can do a spot. From what I've gathered on this, because I haven't read like everything on it, but from what I've gathered on this, I think it was Raja or somebody else who no sold something or along those lines, and everybody was, egging Raja on. They're like, you need to get a receipt. You need to do this. So obviously, I'm pretty sure everyone that's listening to this knows what happened, but pretty much punched him into oblivion over 20 times. Took him down, and the takedown itself was not safe in itself. Like it was an actual takedown that he just planted him on the floor. Um, Apparently, he had teeth stuck down his throat. He was choking up, coughing up blood and all that stuff. I believe he's conscious now, which is awesome to hear. Um, but this shouldn't have happened. And I think that's being very like bland about it. But I also think that Roger Jackson should be in jail. I don't think this should be let go at all because this is not something that can happen. Nor is it something that should happen. And I'm going to be very out there and blunt about this. Roger Jackson being the son of Rampage Jackson, obviously, there's a lot of people out there who talk shit about Rampage Jackson. Oh, like I can beat up Rampage Jackson. He's nothing. He's not all that. Roger Jackson probably from a very young age had anger issues. And that's just telling the entire truth about it. Because we know Rampage Jackson obviously has a history of anger issues. And I have nothing against Rampage Jackson. But we know that could be where this stems from. And it's not like attempted murder may not be the, and I don't even know what I can say on YouTube these days, but that may be a bit of a reach, but it also could have been where it that could have been where it ended up with the beating that Roger Jackson did. Um so I'm going to stand by that Roger Jackson should be in jail. and that they should not let him get away with this because it is not okay.
Yeah, so like, I've read quite a wee bit and I've watched quite a few videos on it. It's absolutely mental. The entire situation, the entire scenario. I'll start off by putting the somewhat neutral hat on, and then I'll get into my actual feelings. So what I will say is, obviously, as you pointed out, Raja had no sold this beer can that got hit over his head. That was because he was unaware that this was going to happen. He hadn't been told or informed about this. That right there is on Knokx Pro Wrestling. That right there is on the wrestlers in the back. As you know, you probably yourself, Josh, obviously previously wrestled and now it's something you're obviously training to get back into. Um, if you have an outsider coming who has no idea about the business, that is something you have to take a lot of care and respect for. And you can't just go around and just be hitting them out the blue. And it wasn't like it was a pulled hit or anything. Like he smacked him over the head with it. At the end of it, so sorry. So for that one, that is a little bit on Knokx Pro Wrestling, and I guess just the management of how it should have gone down and being informed to like Stu, etc., etc. Now the neutral hat's out the way. Fuck Roger Jackson is what I will say, and I don't care. Um, it's absolutely disgusting to see. As you said, he was getting egged on a lot of a lot, and not just by his kick chat, by his dad. Those that phone call he had apparently earlier on in the day, where his dad was making fun of him for what is it going to see oiled up men throw each other around in pants, as the typical non wrestling fan likes to probably look at wrestling.
Yeah.
So he was already getting egged on, but in that sense, by him, by his kick chat, and you mentioned it as well, actually, about Rampage Jackson's own problems. He's even mentioned in an interview that, which is kind of telling, I think, that he is putting a lot of money by for two of his children, for college funds. He's putting money by for Raja for his bail money. So I think he was aware something was going to happen eventually, and this has happened. I know you were very skeptical, or not skeptical, sorry, very scarce about wanting to throw around the word attempted murder. It pretty much seemed like it from if you watched it. I'm assuming you've obviously seen the clip and most
Yes.
folk watching this. It's ridiculous. This wasn't like a like, oh, you need to go, get a receipt. You need to get one back. Because I've seen the likes of I won't name names, but other like former professional wrestlers who have came out and spoke about this, saying like, "Oh, how can you hit a man and not expect him to hit him back?" Okay, but he didn't hit him back. He tried to murder the guy pretty much.
Yeah.
It wasn't like he just wee smack around the head or even just a punch across the face. This was he was laying into an clearly unconscious man for a good 20 plus punches after he'd originally taken him down. Um, that's I don't know. Fuck Roger Jackson, and I totally agree with everything you said, and that's where my stance lays on it.
And at like on a podcast like this, we shouldn't have to explain what a receipt is,
Yeah,
but that's where we're at. And this was not a receipt. A receipt is, someone hits you a little too hard, maybe, right? Like, this could happen at a show. And like this could happen one show and you don't get to get a receipt, but you wrestle that guy at, the next month. Be like, I remember he hit me a little too hard. I'm gonna, chop him a little bit harder. That's a receipt. This was not that at all. And um yeah, you can't be doing this. And like, this is the thing, and I'm gonna go there. This is the thing with having non-wrestlers in a wrestling ring.
yeah,
um I think that we've gone past the point where people are protecting pro wrestling and we're just having outside guys like this come in.
yeah,
And which is exactly like you mentioned it. I'm going to be training to get back in the ring. um when that's going to be, I'm not going to announce it as of yet. um However, the reason I'm getting, as much as I know what I've done previously, that was like a year ago. I don't know where the hell I'm at right now. And if someone like me is like, I need to train before I even think about doing anything else, then these outsiders, is what we're going to call them, should at least have some training, at least some knowledge given to them before you're like, okay, just come to a show. And like even our podcast partner Stu, right? He does, ring announcing for shows, all that stuff. He's currently training. He's getting taught all these things. So he doesn't, fuck up. It it could have just taken a week for Roger Jackson to be taught some knowledge and just respect for the business.
Yeah.
Um yeah, go ahead.
No, I was just I was totally in agreement, and I think what's quite not funny because the situation isn't funny, but it's just because of how soon, or we're just only not even a month removed from SummerSlam. The perfect juxtaposition to this is look at Jelly Roll. I know someone everyone clowned on him for, but like the guy put in the hours, the guy put in the effort to
Yep.
respect the business and have respect for himself within here, and he came out looking great. Is Jelly Roll the greatest wrestler of all time? Yeah, obviously not.
Yeah.
Obviously not. Is he even the greatest celebrity in-ring performer of all time? Absolutely not. But the guy respected it and wanted to learn and knew his place on the card. And that is where this is the complete opposite.
Yeah. Um so something else that has been like sort of attached to this whole incident is that we've had a few WWE ID talent released. So three people were released: Aaron Roberts, Ice Williams, and Jordan Oasis. Um, Aaron Roberts has not shown up on Evolve at all. So, and I don't really know if he's associated with Knokx Pro or if he trained there or anything. Um, Ice Williams, I believe, is from that area, so it wouldn't surprise me if he did train there. And I think he was just recently showcased on Evolved, and he was supposed to have a match against Sean Legacy. Um, Jordan Oasis is somebody that I know personally, and is somebody I have trained with, is somebody I've wrestled on the same show as, and obviously had personal conversations with. I feel really bad for the guy, and I do know that he is, um, like he did train at Knokx Pro. I don't know if he was on this show, if he had anything to do with it. I haven't spoke to him. Um, but he doesn't give me the vibe that he would be associated with something like this. And I think Jordan Oasis is a fantastic wrestler. The like obviously not a lot of people know the way he thinks about wrestling, but um when I was being coached by him, I think it was like one or two classes, I learned so quickly because he explains things so well when he's teaching. And he's a great wrestler. I like his little backpack gimmick. He's been doing that for a while. Didn't seem like it was really taking off in Evolve. His last match was with Brooks Jensen, who's just doing this stupid gimmick. I don't know if you've been paying attention to Evolve, but he's doing this stupid gimmick where he's like, "I'm from Alabama, bam, bam, Bama," or something like that. And he has like a harder like country accent or whatever.
That'd be
Um,
original ECW Bubba Ray.
yeah. And I like Brooks Jensen, but they're just not giving him a whole lot of tools to succeed. Um, but yeah, I don't like. I obviously don't know. I'm not going to make assumptions whether Oasis was a part of this or not because I haven't spoke to him. Um, but I do feel bad for the guy. Um, and I feel bad for the talent that was released, but I understand WWE's point of view on this. And they've, removed any kind of association with Knokx Pro Wrestling as they should. And I think this is a good idea for them. Just let it settle down. And if they really like these guys, bring them back eventually. Um, like obviously if they were 100% not involved in the situation. Um, but yeah, do you have any thoughts on this?
Yeah, sure. I had seen that there'd been some ID releases. To be truly honest, I didn't know any of them. I don't really watch Evolve more so because I completely forget about it until it gets brought up.
Fair.
I catch like the odd bit that appears on like TikTok or whatever. So no, I didn't. So I didn't know anyone. I still obviously don't know them by name. But I think I'll just echo what you've said, like the fact that I understand WWE's position on it, and if these wrestlers, down the line, if they want to get brought back in, they will do. There's a multitude of developmentals in WWE now, from NXT to Evolve to freaking even like you said TNA, AAA. Like if they want to bring them back in, they will. So I hope that's the best one, especially if you're saying about was it Jordan Oasis.
Yeah.
Um, if I trust your opinion on it. Obviously you're the one that knows him. So absolutely best of luck to him then. And yeah, it sucks right now, but I'm sure it will get better and work out.
Yeah. Um, so that's all I really have on that situation. We can move on to some TV stuff now. Um, Obviously I've been doing the post shows for like the weekly shows, so I gave most of my thoughts on like Raw, NXT, stuff like that. Did you have anything on Monday Night Raw that you wanted to get into? Because for me, it just wasn't that great, and there wasn't much to break down.
No, it was. I think it was nice to see Roman be filtered throughout the show. I think one thing is quite great. Like, see when you actually get Roman back for quite a bit, I feel like you do realize how much of like a glaring omission he is from the show. So it was nice to see Roman kind of spread out among segments. I thought his little promo with Bronson Reed was incredibly quite funny.
Yeah.
The Becky Lynch stuff, Becky was great. The whole situation coming out of that, I think, is completely nonsense and ridiculous. Um, the whole Kelly Osbourne thing is so stupid. But fair play to Becky. I'm trying to remember what else even happened on the show now. What else? What other matches did we have?
We
Uh,
had Dominic Mysterio and El Grande America and Kano just
oh
repeating what they
yes,
did last week.
we did. Well, if this leads to Dom getting that Triple A Mega Championship down the line, I'm happy with that. We'll come to it. But yeah, I agree. I think this is the thing. I think with a lot of these the European tour shows that they do, there isn't much substance for them. I mean, the crowds can be fantastic for them, but there's never really too much. I mean, the one they did to the road to WrestleMania wasn't too bad because they had the whole John Cena stuff going on around then. But I do tend to find a lot of the shows that they put on are they're not great. I'm actually quite glad. Well, I'm not glad. I do wish I had gone, obviously, but I'm semi glad I missed Raw in Glasgow in March, I believe, because I think it was probably the worst Raw of the two. Though they did get the debut of El Grande Americano, I will say that. But I think it was one of the worst. So yeah, it always tends to happen. The European shows. A lot of it is filler. Again, I mean, I'm sure we got into it. I kind of felt the same SmackDown last night as well. Just kind of turning the wheels until the actual pay per view itself. But I mean, look, crowd enjoyed themselves and they had some very funny chants as well.
Yeah. Before we get into SmackDown, we had NXT the next day. A interesting episode of NXT. Um, I let's get into the things that they announced first before we break down some of the things that happened. So they announced NXT Homecoming, NXT No Mercy, which is happening in a few weeks, and then NXT Halloween Havoc, obviously in October. Now with Homecoming, they call this Homecoming because they're going back to Full Sail, and um, I may be reaching with this, just a little bit, but we obviously know how petty WWE is when it comes to this AEW thing. AEW
No.
had a show where they had AEW Homecoming, like a Dynamite episode, and the logo was yellow, and it's the same thing for NXT Homecoming. Um, I know that there's like the whole black and gold thing, so it may be a reach, but at the same time, can we really put it past WWE?
No, that's the answer to that. No, um, there's actually they're so petty in every aspect, especially at the minute. Like I, obviously, when we touched on it on the Clash in Paris predictions the other night. There, the fact that I think at the minute WWE are, I don't know if they're cautious, if they're wary, if they're scared, if they're annoyed, but the fact that AEW is doing very well. Um, so I think right now though, like WWE feels like they're being extra petty this year in particular, especially with the announcements of a lot of shows on at the same time. So yeah, I wouldn't put it past WWE.
In terms of the things that happened on NXT, I weirdly enjoyed the blindfold match. Um, I found it pretty hilarious actually. Because Lexus King sprayed Miles Bourne in the eyes so he couldn't see, and then Miles Bourne did the typical like babyface thing, talking to the crowd like, "I'm gonna need you guys to guide me to where he is, to help me find Lexus," and Lexus did exactly what a heel should do in this type of match. He took advantage of the ref's back being turned because he accidentally poked him in the eye, and then low blowed Miles Bourne, and then hit the corneration. Is it what he calls it?
I think so.
Yeah, I when doing the post show for NXT this week, I had no idea what he calls that move. So I was like, I whatever his finisher is called. But I think it was called the corneration or something along those lines. Um, Jada Parker seems like she's a babyface now.
Yeah.
Um, with Stacks doesn't care about his Heritage Cup apparently anymore. Um, because he's just flirting with the Ariana Grace. Um, I oh yeah, we had a thing with Ricky Saints and Josh Briggs. Ricky Saints is the number one contender for the NXT championship. Yeah, nothing else of substance happened on NXT.
So I agree. Actually, I actually really enjoyed the blindfold match. Fair play to Lexus King by the way by doing that suicide dive whilst all kind of suicide dive whilst having the blindfold on. No, I actually found this quite fun. I always say it, wrestling's meant to be stupid and it's meant to be pantomime. Not always, but at the core, that's what it is. And this is like an exact like description of what wrestling is to try to explain it to someone. Like, but like, how can these two guys be blindfolded and have a match? They can't. Oh, okay. Then why they have a match? Just because it's funny. So just
If wrestling
let them
is fake, explain this.
exactly. That sums up wrestling. I know I thought it was actually rather fun. Yeah, but actually, NXT is just weird every week. I like love it and hate it all at the same time.
Yeah. Ricky Saints and Obafemi. I don't know if Saints is going to dethrone Obafemi.
Yeah, I'm not too sure.
Um, but if he doesn't, who the hell does? I mean, it could be they could circle back to Javon. Um, but I don't know. If they don't, then I don't know who the hell takes the title off of him.
Yeah, I did a video on this last week, and I was saying I'm not 100%. I kind of threw out the three names that are most likely. I think Ricky says, isn't it? I don't think he's going to dethrone him, but he's up in the conversation. Same with Josh Briggs. Particularly if Obo is to move on to the main roster to have a very top dominant heel, I would quite happily see Josh up there. But I think they are going to pivot back to Javon. The only reason I think this, and it's not me being cocky, is just because they pretty much did exactly what I thought was going to happen at Heatwave and have Javon come so close, like pushing over to the absolute limits, which he did. He literally got the visual pin over, but his foot was under the ropes. And then they're going to circle back around, and that's where Javon. I used the description similar to WrestleMania 39 and 40 with Cody Rhodes and Roman. Um, the whole like building us up to pull it back, pull it all away from us, to then have to build it back up so we get the extra anticipation. I think it will be Javon in the end.
It's very possible that it could be Javon. Um, We also got some intel on the WWE Speed Championships on NXT. Ava announced a tournament, or what's supposed to be a tournament. I think it's just four competitors. Um, we have Candice LeRae and Zaya Brookside going toe to toe on NXT this coming Tuesday. Um, what's her name from AAA again? That's
Oh my god, you've like thrown me now.
um,
I cannot
I completely
remember.
forgot. No disrespect to her. I had the name in my head and I just completely forgot it. But in the end, I think that Candice LeRae is going to end up challenging Sol Ruka at No Mercy. Unless they want to go to Zaya Brookside, they want to have something with her. Um, she seems to be getting a little bit of a push down in TNA, so maybe they're gonna do something with the Speed Championship with her on WWE television. But I could just see it being Candice LeRae. No intel on the other Speed Championship though, which is held by El Grande Americano. Um,
Yeah. I
so
quite checking. Yeah, so it's was it Triple A's Fabi Apache? That's what.
yeah.
Yeah,
Um,
it's a weird one. This whole like speed going to NXT because, and with the utmost respect, like I don't know how it's going to work because you will assume it's still going to be the 3 minute matches.
yep.
That's the whole point of the speed title. And what's the point of having that on like a PLE or anything like a 3 minute? I mean, in saying that, I mean it's still longer than some of the diva matches they had back in the day. Um, I mean, sure, like if they want to try, if it works, and if I'm pleasantly surprised and cool, I just don't see this lasting very long. As you said, I think they might want to put it on someone, maybe like Zia Brookside, just and this sounds again really bad, just to get rid of it off of one of their top women in the division, so it's not kind of like a burden of her again, as bad as that sounds.
Yeah. This could go really good or it could just go really bad. And
Exactly.
like I said, if it doesn't work out, they'll just get rid of it. Um, I think it's a somewhat of a cool way to get more talent on the card and
That's true.
showcase a little more talent. Um, and it's like I said, it's like three. I think the title matches are like 5 minutes, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh,
Um,
okay.
uh, unless they are 3 minutes. I've only watched one episode of Speed in my
Oh,
life.
I've like I've like barely watched them.
Yeah, I
Unless they wanted to bring them into something again, introducing more championships, but maybe they rather than introducing it, because they just changed it up from Speed. Unless they introduced it as like a a semi type of cruiserweight championship. I know we've had many renditions of it. Because that's the whole point of the Speed Championship. I know sometimes you have the likes of like Ivar chucked in there, but I guess that's kind of the point. It's meant to go to the more like flashy guys and flashy gals. So maybe something like that could work if they did want to eventually change it a bit and transition it to something that works better for TV.
yeah, for sure. Um, that was NXT. Dynamite was interesting. I wasn't able to catch all of it. Um, Obviously, I did see that insane spot with Claudio throwing Darby Allin into the announce table. Um, that just looked brutal, but looked amazing at the same time.
Yeah.
Um, and you know what? I don't know why Darby Allin does the things that he does, but you know what? We need
No
at
one
least one
knows.
person like that in every generation.
Oh yeah.
So, kudos to him. If he can take the damage and get back up, then sure, go for it, I guess. Um, what else happened on Dynamite? We had MJF just reiterating that about his contract that he has a week that he has to, notify them within a week. Which I actually like because it's not copying the whole money in the bank cash in
Yeah.
thing. Um and yeah, I completely like that. I don't think that they should copy that idea. They should do something a little bit different, and that's what they're doing. And they could even play it as like Hangman gets hurt one week, and MJF says, "Oh, you're gonna have to wrestle hurt next week or at the upcoming pay per view
Yeah.
or whatever." Um, Yeah, do you have any thoughts on Dynamite?
Yeah, it was good. I said I caught it way after just because I had a very busy week this week in general. So I got it way after. But yeah, it was a fun show. I just Darby's a maniac. So the main takeaway, he's like a main event Spike Dudley. Cool. But yeah, fun as always. I'm very much looking forward to All Out coming up.
Um, we then had SmackDown. Nothing really notable happened on TNA, so um, we'll skip over that. Then we had SmackDown. SmackDown sucked. Um, there was nothing that piqued my interest on SmackDown, and I include Sami Zayn winning the United States Championship in that sentiment because again, I mentioned this on the post show, so I won't go too much into it, and I'll let you take this one over in a second. But this United States Championship, like, no, it hasn't been good at all. It doesn't matter who they have hold it; it hasn't been good. Shinsuke Nakamura, you know, barely anybody's gonna remember he held the title. LA Knight's reign was okay, but again, it still wasn't great. Jacob Fatu probably had the best reign just because it was Jacob Fatu.
Yep.
We're not even going to talk about Solo Sikoa. And then we're here at Sami Zayn. And I honestly think that it's going to be the same exact thing with Sami Zayn.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I mean, I think it'll be quite similar, I guess, to Sammy when he won the IC title from Gunther. I'll see him losing in a couple of weeks. Right, I said this in my preview video. I was like, the correct choice here is to keep it on Solo because obviously that's the correct choice. However, I didn't trust WWE to not to pull the trigger on the fact of them being in Europe. If you remember the previous European tour, they like switching championships over here. Very hot crowd in France. I also completely didn't even consider the French connection with Sami Zayn. So I was like, you didn't even think about that, so it made it even more obvious. Um, I'm frustrated by this because we've talked about the podcast with Stu being here. I'm a massive Sami Zayn fan. I love Sami Zayn. I want to see him at the top one day. Not like this, though, in the way they're doing it. I'm not
Yeah.
a fan, and it was so funny on TikTok the amount of videos I've been tagged in by like fellow wrestling content creators who like I'm really friendly with, but I know that they don't like Sami Zayn, and they know that I know they don't, but they know that I do like Sami Zayn, and they're just like laughing with me at it, and I'm like, oh boys, I don't even know what to tell you on this one. I'm in the total agreement. Like so, as you Solo's reign as the US champion has been awful. Solo himself has been fantastic. So like, I don't really see the need to take that off of him, especially to Sammy, who, because this is the thing. I seen someone mention it's true that Triple H clearly has his guys and has his boys, and Sammy I would say is in there. Um, and before the US champion, the whole story made no sense. The fact that Sammy we wanted the World Heavyweight Championship, then all of a sudden he was like, you know what? I also haven't won the US one. Now I want the US one. And now that he's won the US one, I think we are going to eventually pivot back around, and I would probably put money on within the next 2 years, Sami Zayn being a World Heavyweight Champion, somehow WWE Champion, one of the two. The issue is, and I want that so badly for Sammy because he's someone who deserves it so much, but not like this, not the way they're doing it. If they keep this character, um, and all I think they're doing is doing more harm than good when it comes to Sammy. I said that previously with the cross feud, sorry, and now we're here, and I'm like, user, because I know full well, like friends I've got on TikTok and fellow content creators, so they cannot stand Sami Zayn. And I'm doing my best to try and be like, no, Sami Zayn's great. Like you've seen me do it with Stu, but every single time WWE makes it harder and harder for me to to be like, oh yeah, no, this is bad. So yeah, that's my feelings.
Yeah. And realistically, what does it say about Jacob Fatu? Because we had, excuse me, We had Solo defeat Jacob Fatu for that US title. And um, Jacob Fatu was dominant. We know what Jacob Fatu is. Then we have Solo Sikoa just lose every single match he competes in after that. And then just Sami Zayn take the title from him. Realistically, if they want to book Solo Sikoa like that, what does that say about Jacob Fatu?
This is what I mean. From in every, it's not even something I considered. In every aspect, you just look at this and go, why? Apart from the incredible pop that Sammy got, sure, I'm sure that will get a lot of views on YouTube. But apart from that, you've achieved nothing, and all you've done is made fan sentiment towards it and towards Sammy so much worse. When this is meant to be, you're possibly next top babyface, and people like we'll get into maybe not quite as extreme, but you're getting to like bloody Roman Reigns from 2015 territory here. It's not quite that extreme, but we're on the trajectory. This fan sentiment is starting to turn already, and we're not even. I think we're at least a minimum of a year, if not going into 2 years before Sammy, I think, gets that World Heavyweight Championship. Like they have to change something fast.
Yeah. Yeah, 100% agree. Um, Before we continue, though, we have a minute left in this meeting, so I do have to create a new one. So I will be right back. All right, we are back. So yeah, that's all the weekly recap out of the way. So I didn't get the chance to do a Forbidden Door or Heat Wave post show. So I'll give my quick thoughts and then I'll like hand it over to Rue. Um, Forbidden Door was a solid pay per view. There wasn't much, however. Um, like I expected Tony Storm to retain. Um, the lights out steel cage match was fantastic as expected. They just beat the hell out of each other. Um, as a whole, Forbidden it was a fine pay per view for what it was. They had some good matches on there. Um, I expected Daniel Garcia to turn on Nigel McGuinness, but that didn't end up happening. He just got in the ring and hugged him. Um, Teased that he was gonna turn, but ended up not turning. Um, Rodino winning the tag champs was a bit of a surprise. But you know what? They've been pretty solid as a tag team, so I'm not mad at it at all. Um, we know that we're gonna get FTR versus Edge and Christian, or whatever they're calling themselves now. I wish that was for the tag titles. I think it would have been bigger if it was for the tag titles, but they seem like they like Brodito, so they're gonna keep the titles on them. Um, yeah, other than that, I don't really, remember. I don't even have the notes in front of me, but there's nothing else that I can think of that I really have to break down for Forbidden Door. Um, Heat Wave was fine. It was the same concept. It was Forbidden Door was definitely the better pay per view. But yeah, Heat Wave, like obviously Obafemi and Javon Evans was fantastic as expected. Other than that, though, Darkseid winning the tag titles expected. Um, we obviously know Blake Monroe and Jordan Grace is continuing. Um, yeah, that's my thoughts on it. There's really not much to break down for me there. So, what were your thoughts on Forbidden Door and Heatwave?
Yeah, I just said Forbidden Door, very, very solid show as always with AEW. A lot of predictable results. We kind of said that I think on the predictions themselves. But that doesn't necessarily mean it was bad at all. But yeah, all very fun. I said the main event was incredible. As expected with all the men involved. I liked what they did with the Bucks once again. I thought that was funny. Hopefully, Osprey, please, for the love of God, can you go and rest? The man needs it. But yeah, overall, solid show. Yeah, as you said, Brodito, very, very didn't expect to see them become the AEW Tag Team Champions. Was very shocked by that, but as you said, they've actually been solid, so I'm cool with it. And yeah, Tony Storm retaining, as I think we both expected that. So yeah, overall, very, very fun show. Said not that was well, I'm gonna say it was the best show of the year, but that's quite a high bar with AEW. But yeah, overall very fun. And then NXT Heatwave, yeah, it was fine. As you said, a lot of as expected results. Dark State won a match. That's a first, and of course it was for the tag team titles. Of course it was. Um, but yeah, apart from that, yeah, Obot and Javon was very very good. Was a big fan of that. Javon is crazy. He's like, oh, going to become our own like WWE version of Darby Allin with maybe a bit less class. um, Overall, but yeah, I mean, it's solid. As the NXT pay they're always like solid. They're never like that bad. They're always solid. But yeah, Forbidden Door is certainly the better show of the day.
Yeah, 100% agree. Yeah, WWE needs to stop doing this, putting pay-per-views on the same day as AEW shows, and obviously they're not going to stop. Um, as it seems. So it seems like this is going to be a continuous thing, and man, it is exhausting for someone who covers it. Especially having to come home like late at night after Destiny Wrestling, to watch Heatwave, and then Forbidden Door the next day. Um, but it is what it is. It's wrestling. It's a whole lot of wrestling. Um, so what am I complaining for? But that is all we have for the headlines of the week this week. Some pretty interesting topics we went over. If you agree or disagree with anything that we said, please let us know in the comment section below. I always love hearing you guys' opinions. There's a multitude of different ways you guys can let me know your opinions in the comment section of YouTube, the comment section of Spotify. You can let me know over there, over on the Kayfabe Central website as well. You could also go ahead and join up the Discord server that we have for Kayfabe Central. You can give your predictions on pay-per-views, thoughts on certain things, all things like that. So go ahead and join up the Discord server. You can also go ahead and join up the Ko-Fi page for Kayfabe Central. It's $5 minimum to subscribe to the exclusive wrestling content tier. Yeah, and make sure you guys have notifications on for YouTube. Hit the subscribe button if you haven't already. Um, yeah, and I appreciate the support on TikTok and the recent support on YouTube. It means a whole lot to me, so I appreciate that. Just wanted to give a thank you for all of that. And yeah, make sure you have notifications on so you are notified when the interview drops and when other podcasts drop and all that stuff. And you know, the Clash in Paris post show review and all that good stuff. Make sure you guys are all up to date on that. And that is going to do it for me and Rue for this Headlines of the Week podcast. And I will see you guys in the next one. Take it easy.